A Los Angeles woman was traveling from here to Denver with a 10-year-old daughter when she was stopped and interrogated once she got to the Denver airport. That interrogation resulted in what she called racist harassment. Now, I'm not sure if you guys can pinpoint exactly how this happened, but we'll go into those details from Yahoo News really quick now. Her name is Mary MacCarthy, and she's 42 years old, and she told Insider that she and her daughter, Moira, boarded Southwest Airlines flight from LA to Denver with a connecting flight in San Jose on the 22nd of October in order to be with her family following the sudden death of her brother. So it's a tragic situation they're already traveling for now. Now here's a picture of the mother and daughter as they were traveling. I'm not sure if that's from their traveling, but that's the two of them now. They also said when the single mom and her child got off the plane in Denver, they were immediately met by 2 Denver police officers and a Southwest representative on the jet bridge at around 2:30 in the afternoon. She said, as a mother to a biracial child, it immediately clicked in my brain. I assumed we had been reported for trafficking. The police report states that a Southwest attendant on the connecting flight from San Jose told authorities that the mom and daughter did not talk during the flight, and she felt that it was odd. And also the mother did not allow the child to talk to the flight crew. Now, I've got an almost 10-year-old kid. We've flown many times with him. There's been times that I did talk to him, there's times that I didn't talk to him on the flight. Many times it's because he didn't want to talk to me. Because he had an iPad, he had a book, he had his Nintendo Switch, he had something. And generally on flights, I'm not sure how many 10-year-olds are like, hey mom, so let's talk about the state of the world. Anyways, continuing on.
I want to say two things about that. Number one, the mom says there's a total lie. None of that is true. She seems to have more credibility in the Southwest at this point.
Yeah.
And secondly, Jared's 100% right. My kids, sometimes they have those screens on the back of the seats and you have to swipe your credit card, right? And so they look so forward to all the movies and stuff that they're gonna watch on there. So as soon as they sit down, they're like, Baba, credit card me, credit card me. All of our kids are addicted to these devices. So if you thought it was extraordinary that she was looking at a device the whole flight, have you ever been on a flight?
Come on, bro. Now, okay, again, now you understand that human trafficking does happen. Sometimes it's on straight up flights and you won't even notice. It's a bit of a problem. I don't have the stats and numbers behind it, but even 5 to 10 children, that's too much of a problem. But so MacCarthy, again, the mom, as you point out, Cenk, she denied it as an outright lie, and she said her kid was on her and was listening to an audiobook, and they had spoken during the trip. So there's that part. Now the response
her
from
kids
Southwest,
are better than mine. Audiobook? Jesus, I gotta get mine audiobooks. I'll credit card that, but.
I love how that's the suspicious behavior. Like, why wasn't she glued to a screen? 10 years old, no screen, suspicious. Like, that's the world we live in. Also, a messed up world that assumes that a white mother of a biracial kid, a black kid cannot, that doesn't happen. What do you mean? Like, my stepdad's white, and like, I would always kind of like, I could tell people's, he's like white, he's whole white, he's like pink white, you know what I mean? That white, and that doesn't happen. Like, this doesn't, anyway. The point is that we've been stared at, and you're like, he's my stepdad anyway, like.
And you know what?
But
you pointed out that you're used to that because of the way you grew up and you've seen those looks. That's why this particular woman, she did say, she goes, as soon as they stopped us, I knew what it was about. It wasn't like, oh my God, what could possibly be the problem? No, she was like, no, they think I'm trafficking my daughter. And it's just the way it goes. Now, a lot of times with these type of stories, I would normally expect a black mother with, say, a mixed, a biracial daughter or kid, when it doesn't matter, would be stopped, or even a white kid, or maybe they're the caretaker. Things like that always tend to happen, and people go, oh my God, you're stealing that white child. So this happens to be, at least from the norm that we hear, a bit of the reverse. And Southwest did say that they have the protocol where they want people, or at least not they want people, but if you see something like that, there's a way that you can go ahead and announce it and maybe look out for the kid. But I just want to bring up that picture of them one more time. And they were curious about whether or not she looks, that she's her daughter. And as you point out, your stepdad, Francesca, is pink white. I'm sorry, but Moira stole her mother's face. I don't care that her skin is a little bit darker. They have the same face. They just do. Yeah. Maybe that's just my recognition.
Look at the forehead.
It's exactly the same. Their eyes, their smile, everything's the same except for maybe the nose. But
I think the nose looks the same too. Maybe a tiny bit. Anyway,
I mean, I don't know. It's just, I guess when you deduce and you look, you may figure this out.
But I like JR's point though, which is that at least they were racist in the right direction. So we'll take it. No, seriously, guys, look, I don't know when Southwest became like a weirdo right-wing airline. I mean, this happened like 17 times so far. Anyways, not this particular thing, but them doing weird conservative things. But look, put aside the racism for a second, if you want to or don't, right? But just think it through, right? Southwest says, oh, we really train our staff on human trafficking, and somebody who works here used to work at Virgin as a flight attendant, and we talked to her about it, and and she said, they don't say you have to report anything, you don't get docked if you don't report anything, but they do train you, generally speaking, at these airlines to be on the lookout for it, and if you think it's, you got a pretty good amount of evidence, then you could do things like leave a note in the bathroom when she goes to the bathroom. Are you okay? Do you need help? There's different things here. So it's not out of nowhere. I see a black kid, white mom, that's it, we're arresting them. But at the same time, my God, do you have to be careful with this? Right, there's a lot of biracial people in the country. You can't have each one of them be met by cops as soon as they land at the airport. That's nuts. My kids are biracial too. And so like now I'm slightly worried if I go on a flight and my daughter's Asian, are they gonna be like, oh my God, we got him? And then I hope to God they're taking this stuff off her record, because they have now in the police records, she was questioned on child trafficking, right?
Yeah.
And this is honestly, and this is what I wonder too, and maybe you can answer this too, Francesca. I do care about human trafficking, and I do care about children being taken, or maybe someone had an opportunity to blow the lid off of a crime like this. What is the best approach? Because there's many times that our assumptions get in the way of clear thinking, but you don't want to be too worried about the clear thinking and then ignore the assumption, and then you let someone get away. So I'm not saying you have the answer, I'm just curious, because as I was going through this, I was like, what's the best way to do this though?
I think it's a good question. And yeah, exactly, maybe it was the best way to go about it, asking her, questioning her for 2 seconds, and then, okay, on your way. And obviously, I think probably because of her skin color, it didn't get worse, you know what I mean? If she got really mad and she wasn't white, would that have changed anything? And the other thing, yeah, it's like you kind of are happy that especially young black girls in this country who are victimized at disproportionate rates and no one really looks out for them. It's kind of nice to know that maybe that there is someone who was, you know what I mean? And that sort of is a telltale sign, or not a telltale sign, but it's like that they are disproportionately trafficked potentially. So yeah, I don't think it's like, how dare you, but they give the real name and address. Like there might be a way to follow up with that family, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, do you call them later? You don't have to necessarily do it in the moment. I don't know.
Yeah, no, there's gotta be more steps. I agree with Francesca. I'll say a little bit more about it. Look, the mom thinks it's racist, right? And she clearly says that. And it's not on us to necessarily judge for sure in a case that is not as crystal clear as some others that we've covered. To me, I'm not positive that it was racist, but it certainly is about race, right? That they're different races. But did they do the right amount of due diligence here? No way. Like, so JR was joking around in the morning meeting when we're talking about this. You don't have to worry about your son because he might be biracial, but he looks just like you, right? But here in this case, you put aside the skin color, they look really similar, the mom and the daughter. And so if I was in the position of the flight attendant, my God, I definitely would have wanted more evidence before I had the cops show up because that's gonna traumatize the kid for sure.
They said her daughter was crying. There was
yes.
She posted something, the daughter was crying as they were interrogating, because it's a scary situation.
The reason they were on the flight is because her uncle had died. So she's she's already traumatized by the uncle dying. And the fact that her mom will only allow audiobooks, and then the cop comes, and so you gotta be more careful, especially knowing that it is by definition going to affect biracial families more, right? So that puts a further onus on, hey, be careful here, because none of us want the human trafficking. We're happy that folks have an eye out on it, but you're gonna need a lot more evidence than this. Where they had almost no evidence at all.
Yeah, and it also it can't be left up to looks. I just gotta say that, like it is weird also, because again, like my stepdad and I look nothing alike, but he was my guardian, like. It's all cool. So like that's also a weird out, you know? I just assume actual child traffickers deliberately know when they look like a parent. It's like that's an out for them. Like, oh, I'm just gonna look sort of similar to the victim and we're good.
I don't know how actual child traffickers do it.
I don't.
But by the way, though, I assume they teach that, and I don't know. Is this normal? This doesn't look like normal child traffickers would do it, but I have no idea. Anyways, good luck to Southwest. Man, they're hurt, dog.
Wow.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.